Okay. Hayoim Shiva Asar Yoim Shehem Shloisha Shavuos V'Shisha Yomim Loimer. Today's the 27th day of the Omer. Okay, let's see what we have. And I think today's also a very big day. Today's a shikha like Purim, because our Haman, one of our Hamans died yesterday, right?
Yeah. There are others to
Someone said over from the river to the sea, to hell with Ray Sea.
Where did you see that? You made that up?
No, I heard that somewhere. So our Haman got killed, and the Olam was davening that his body should be eaten by the wolves in the forest that he was downed in, rather than him being rescued, rather than his body even being rescued, because of the thousands of people that he butchered himself. Not yet.
So how do they? But they know he's dead.
I believe they know he's dead. Yeah. So
they're trying to figure out how Mossad put a mountain in front of the helicopter.
Yeah. Well, they already said they know it was a Mossad agent involved. His name was Helicopter.
Yeah, I know.
But that you're
No.
Okay. Unbelievable. Helveyu alamashkoin shomer socher. If you lend somebody money and you take a mashkin, that makes you a shomer socher. The question is why? Zok to Gemara. It must be that our Mishnah that says that when you lend somebody money, you have the status of a shomer socher on this mashkin is not consistent with what Rabbi Eliezer said. Titania, hamalvas chaver ala mashkin. If you lend your friend money and he has to give you a mashkin, the avara mashkin, and you lost the mashkin, so the halach is you shava, you swear. What do you swear? That you were not posheya, and that you lost it. And you get paid in full to the Rabbi Eliezer. So you're not chayiv for Aveda. You're not chayiv for Aveda. If you swear that there was Aveda, you weren't posheya, and you swore that you actually don't have it, the halach is you get your money. The Rabbi Eliezer. So Rabbi Eliezer clearly says that a malvas chaver mashkin is not a shomer socher, because if he was a shomer socher, he would be chayiv on Aveda. Very clear cut. Who argues with Rabbi Eliezer? Rabbi Kiva Omer. Rabbi Kiva Omer, Yachal Omer Loi. The loiva can tell the malva, Klum hil visani ela ala mashkin. You only lent me money because I gave you a mashkin. Therefore, avad mashkin, you lost the mashkin. Avdu mo'isecha, you lost your money. What does this mean? So Rashi articulates it ever so beautifully. Rashi articulates Yishava. Rabbi Eliezer holds not a shomer socher. I'm only a shomer chinam. Therefore, Yishava shloi pasha. The shomer chinam hu alav. And here is the reasoning. Zok Rashi. The ein adam noitel mashkainai lugavaina. When someone asks for a mashkin, he's not asking for the mashkin because he intends to collect from the mashkin. In other words, and he intends to eventually liquidate the mashkin so he gets his money back. That's not why he asked for the mashkin. It's only to give him some level of confidence that the loiva won't be able to forget or deny that he ever borrowed the money. Therefore, but if it's Lugavaina, Rabbi Kiva holds, no, when someone asks for a mashkin, it's because he intends to actually collect from that. That means you're sort of taking it already to yourself, therefore you're going to be responsible for Einstein. That is seeming how Rashi explains this machlokes. So it seems like our Mishnah is consistent with Rabbi Kiva, but it's not consistent with Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, Gewalt. What if the halva was bishtar? If the halva was with the shtar, clearly Rabbi Eliezer can no longer maintain that the whole purpose of the mashkin was just to remind the loiva that he owes the money, because it's the shtar, and there's shibud karkois. So the mashkin, if he asked one, the only possible reasoning as to why he asked for that mashkin is because he actually does intend to collect them. And therefore, there, divrei hakoil of a mashkin of the umayis. So there's the machlokes, Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva. Let's have a look in Rashi. Of the hamashkin, the only reasonable explanation why this malva took that mashkin is luguvaina, because it's not to remind the loiva that he owes the money. The stam star yesh by shibud karkois. First of all, at a shibud karkois, which is a pretty good guarantor for the funds, yesh loy mehechan ligvois uvatuachu. The malva is very comfortable and confident that he's going to get repaid. The gam likvor ein yachel. The loiva surely can't deny the loan. The hakoi star. We have a star here. It must be that he took it lugavain. So now it seems like our Mishnah is not consistent. Good morning. It's not consistent with Rabbi Eliezer. Zok the Gemara, no. Afilu tema Rabbi Eliezer. You can, let's say that our Mishnah.
Can't see the page.
At the bottom of
Pale, yeah.
On Shabbos, it was a good raya that you have to pay because we're on that pay.
That's right. So Zok the Gemara, maybe you could say our Mishnah is going like Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer holds that the shomer of a mashkin, in other words, the malva, is only a shomer chinam. V'loy kasha, kanche mishkanoi b'shas havasai, kanche mishkanoi shaloi b'shas havasai. When did Rabbi Eliezer express his opinion that a mashkin is lezichron dvarim ba'alma? It's not really leguvayna. That's if at the beginning, when we originally made the halva, the malva asked for a mashkin. But what happens if that's not what happened? He never asked for a mashkin. And months went by, and the loiva was in default of the loan, and the malva went to Bezdin and told Bezdin, I need you to enforce this loan. I need you to ask for the loan. And Bezdin says to Shliach, they go to the loiva, and the Shliach Bezdin demands a mashkin of the loiva. And that clearly is going to be lugavain. So Zok Rashi, Kanshi Mishkani B'Shas Alvoso, Yikam Rabbi Eliezer Sharmechina, Umasnisin that says that a shomer of a mashkin, meaning the malva, is a shomer socher, is Keshemishkanoi Shaloi B'Shas Alvoso. Achazman, Keshetavu Ma'oisav Bezdin V'Loi Shile. When the malva tried to collect and the loiva didn't pay, the loiva is in default. Then Umashkanoi Alpi Bezdin. Bezdin was the one who orchestrates and arranged for the seizure of a mashkin. That clearly he's planning to collect from. That's why he seized the mashkin, so he should have some way to get repaid. Right, the Gemara, that's an excellent svara. There's only one small technical difficulty. It doesn't say that. Idi ve'idi hilveyu ala mashkin katan. Rabbi Eliezer's case, it says hilveyu ala mashkin, but that makes sense. We're trying to say that that's the case where originally there was a mashkin. But our Mishnah that we're also trying to say is speaking where the mashkin came later, uses the same wording, hilveyu ala mashkin, which clearly indicates that the original loan was done with a mashkin. So you cannot make that distinction. So yeah, it is possible that Rabbi Eliezer agrees. In the case where the mashkin was taken after the default, there it's a shomer socher. But our Mishnah is not speaking about that case. Our Mishnah clearly is speaking, even though the mashkin was given at the beginning of the loan, our Mishnah considers it a shomer socher. Rabbi Eliezer considers it a shomer chinam. So Rabbi Eliezer is still not consistent with our Mishnah. We're going to try another remedy to be able to explain how Rabbi Eliezer would agree with our Mishnah. The Mishnah's case, or actually Rabbi Eliezer's case, is when the loan was mois, and kan shalveyu payers, and our Mishnah's case is payers. Rabbi Eliezer's case is by mois, and the Mishnah's case is by payers. We already had a couple of days ago a distinction between if you lend somebody mois, there's no benefit. There's no benefit to you because you would rather have your money. But if you lend somebody payers, you actually have a great benefit because if you wanted to keep those payers for the long term, they would go bad. By lending somebody payers, what you're doing is here, I'm lending you $10 worth of payers, and you'll pay me back in a month $10 cash. So it's the best way to preserve payers, and there's not even an energy bill for refrigeration. You preserve your payers at no cost, you get a great benefit. So where does our Mishnah say Yashem Yisachar? That's when the Malv is benefiting greatly from the loan. If he's benefiting from the loan because he's preserving his payers, there will be a Hashem Yisachar on the Mashkin. But if the loan was cash for cash, where the Malv is not benefiting anything, there, Rabbi Eliezer agrees that it's not a Hashem Yisachar. For the Gemara, you cannot explain that that's Pshat and Rabbi Eliezer. You can't say that Rabbi Eliezer only said that it's a Shomer Chinam when you lent him money, but not when you lent him payers. Because the Seifa of the Brisa that we quoted, we only quoted part of the Shitas. We quoted Rabbi Eliezer and we quoted Rabbi Kiva. But there's actually a third Shita in that Brisa that the Gemara is going to quote now. When we the Katani Seifa, Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, Rabbi Yehuda has a third opinion. And he makes a distinction. Hilveyu Mois Shomer Chinam. Hilveyu Peiros Shomer Sachar. So it's Rabbi Yehuda who first introduces this distinction between Hilveyu Mois and Hilveyu Peiros. Michlal, that both Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva, who were discussing this issue prior to Rabbi Yehuda introducing this distinction, Michlal did Tanakama, according to both Tanakamas, Sai Rabbi Eliezer and Sai Rabbi Kiva, Loi Shani Lei. There is no distinction between payers and mois. So once again, how could Rabbi Eliezer possibly be consistent with the Mishnah when Rabbi Eliezer says that the Shomer Hamashkin, that Malva is a Shomer Chinam, while our Mishnah says it's a Shomer Sach. Talk to Gemara. Maybe Kuli Rabbi Yehudi. Maybe the entire Brisa that quotes Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Eliezer is all going according to Rabbi Yehuda. And this is how the Brisa should read. Hilveyu al hamashkoin. If you lend somebody money with a mashkoin, shomer sachar, just like our Mishnah says. When do we say that the Malva has a din of a shomer sachar? Is shehilveyu peiros. He lent the loive peiros. He's benefiting because now he's preserving his peiros. But if he only lent cash, shomer chinam, there the Malva benefits nothing, and therefore he's a shomer chinam. Where do we get this distinction from? Rabbi Yehuda made that distinction. Hilveyu mois shomer chinam, hilveyu peiros shomer sachar. Right, the Gemara, if you're going to say that, ihachi kamala masnishin the loik Rabbi Kiva. So now, once you say that our Mishnah only says that by hilveyu peiros shomer sachar, and that's only consistent with Rabbi Yehuda Shita, while Rabbi Kiva argues and he holds Sayil Veyu Mois, Sayil Veyu Peiros are both the Shomer Sachar. Now our Mishnah wants to with Rabbi Kiva. What's wrong if our Mishnah doesn't sit with Rabbi Kiva? Because all Stammishnayis have to follow Rabbi Kiva. Why is that? Let's look at the Rashi. That's the second from the top. Ihachi Kamal Mastishan like Rabbi Kiva. The Katani. What does the Mishnah say? Avlam Veyu Mois Shermechinam. I'm sorry, the Brisa says that. Manan Kaimalon. The Mesechas Sanhedrin, B'chula Stami, in any type of stam offered by a Tana. Stam Mishnah is Rabbi Meir, Stam Sifra is Rabbi Yehuda, Stam Sifri is Rabbi Shimon, but V'chulu al Libud Rabbi Kiva, all of these Gedolei Olam were the Talmidim of Rabbi Kiva. So all of these are consistent with Rabbi Kiva. Our Mishnah is the Chastam Mishnah. So if our Mishnah is the Chastam Mishnah, and you want, which means it has to be consistent with Rabbi Kiva, and you want to learn Pshat in the Mishnah, that it's only a Shem Socher by Peiros and not by Mois, that won't be consistent with Rabbi Kiva because we know Rabbi Kiva holds that a shomer of a mashkin, a malva is a shomer sachar, no matter what, if the loan was cash or if the loan was payers. So we're right back to the drawing board again. We have to learn the machlokes and the brisa as we first encountered it, that Rabbi Eliezer holds across the board a Shomer Hamashkin, a Malva is only a Shomer Chinam. And therefore, Rabbi Eliezer will not be consistent with our Mishnah. El Machaber to Masnisen, the Loik Rabbi Eliezer. So the Gemara tried every which way to shoehorn our Mishnah into agreeing with Rabbi Eliezer, but it just didn't succeed. Our Mishnah is simply not consistent with Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, Gewaltig. It's funny because once the Gemara was already predispositioned to say that our Mishnah has to be consistent with Rabbi Kiva, the Gemara could have said, of course, because it goes like Rabbi Kiva. But I guess the Gemara wanted to try to say that maybe both Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Eliezer could agree with the Mishnah. And that was impossible to do. Okay. Now, we're going to take a whole fresh look at the Machlokes, Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva. Because we just concluded that the Machlokes, Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva is, when I originally take a mashkin, am I taking it l'guvaina, like Rabbi Kiva holds, and therefore I'm a shomer sacher, or am I taking it not l'guvaina, I'm just taking it to remind the loiva that he owes me money, and therefore he's merely a shomer chinam. That's how we learned. But now we're going to see the backstory, how the Gemara reached that conclusion, because there's actually alternative means with which to learn the Machlokes, Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva. The Gemara is going to try each one on for size, and then the Gemara is going to settle on what we started with. Zok Tahelig Gemara. Lema b'deloi shavi mashkin shizusi. Maybe the Machlokes, Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Eliezer is not like we thought, a regular case of mashkin, whether the malva is a shomer chinam or shomer sacher. Maybe it's where the mashkin was not the full value of the chayv. I lent you $1,000 and you gave me a mashkin that was worth $800. And that would have a different set of rules than if the mashkin was actually the same value as the chayv. Because Shmuel taught us an interesting halacha about a case where the mashkin doesn't cover the full value of the chayv. With the Shmuel kamiflagi. Shmuel taught us, Haiman the Uzpei, Alpha Zuzil Lachafre, if someone lent his friend $1,000, the Anach Lekata de Magla, and he gave him the handle of an axe, Ilayu, as the mashkin for this chayv, which is not worth 1,000 zuz. So Shmuel Ovid Kata de Magla, Ovdu Alpha Zuse. If you lose the Kata de Magla, you lost Elef Zuz. Another Shmuel holds that's also a mashkin that's lugavain. Even though technically you cannot retrieve the full value of your loan out of it, it's still considered lugavaina. Maybe that's what the machlokes is. Rabbi Kiva holds like Shmuel that it's lugavaina. I mean, Rabbi Kiva doesn't need Shmuel. Rabbi Kiva was the Tana, but Rabbi Kiva would hold the same shita as Shmuel. And maybe Rabbi Eliezer doesn't hold the shita of Shmuel. Let's see how Rashi explains it very nicely.
How can you say that the cut of the magla could be like 1,000 books?
So let's see Rashi. So Rashi is going to explain it beautifully. The E b'deshavi, if it's the same value as the loan, maybe Rabbi Eliezer would be moider to Rabbi Kiva. That's the gavaina. Maybe the whole machlokes is when it's not the right value. The Rabbi Eliezer less late is Shmuel, the Amar Ovid Alpha Zuzay, Visavar the couple legavaina. Shmuel holds it's legavaina. How less the Rabbi Eliezer? That Rabbi Eliezer doesn't hold up. Why? The chivun shavi, since it's not valuable enough to cover the loan, why did he take it? It must be lezichra in devarim ba'al mahu denokatlei, and therefore he's merely a shar mechina. Rabbi Kiva, and this is what is going to explain what Rabbi Chaim is asking, is Rabbi Kiva is like the Shmuel, he was like Shmuel. V'yamar savar v'kabil b'teres mashkin. No, surely he should have asked for more, but Lamaisa, this is what he took, and this is also b'teres mashkin, and he fully expects to be able to collect from the Kata de Magla. So what Rashi says is, it might not be worth the full value of the loan, but I'm not giving you back till you pay me in full. So you want your handle back. I'm not giving it back to you till you pay me in full. So it's something that you want back. Therefore, I could still use it to extract a full payment from you. That's how Rashi says. He gets your sfuda och. It's not I wasn't planning to sell it. You want it back, you're going to pay me. Because there's actually a shaila. If the mashkin isn't worth the full amount of the choy, and the loiva comes with the value of the mashkin in cash, can he redeem his mashkin? And there's a shaila. Most people hold you can't. I have a right to hold on to the mashkin until you pay me in full, even if you give me enough money to cover the value of the mashkin. Okay, so Zog to Gemara, maybe that's the machlokes Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva, but everybody agrees that if the mashkin is the full value of the choiv, everybody agrees it's a shomer sachar. Zog to Gemara, no. Zog to Gemara, no. It's not muchach that way, because even the loy shavi mashkin shir zuzeh, let's say the chula amalastli the shmi. Let's say if nobody owes the shmi. Why? Zog Rashi to Rabbi Eliezer loy mafsid klum. According to Rabbi Eliezer, if I lose the mashkin, I lose nothing at all, because it's not lugavayna. Ula Rabbi Kiva ain't mafsid el keneged a mashkin. According to Rabbi Kiva, I only lose keneged a mashkin. But our Mishnah is b'deshavish. I'm sorry, but the machlokes Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva is b'deshavish shir zuzi, and maybe the kamivically with Rabbi Yitzchak, they're arguing in a whole different thing. They're not arguing about if it's lugavayna or if it's just to remind the loiv that he owes the money. No, maybe it's negay a whole different shaila, the shaila of Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak has a gavaltig chiddush. The Rabbi Yitzchak, minayin lebal choiv shekoyna mashkin. How do you know that a bal choiv is koyna mashkin? Rabbi Yitzchak has a chiddush, and he says that a bal choiv is koyna mashkin. It's a maslav. Oh,
Take it.
oh, that's right. Shmuel Jews has it. Oh, I think I'm supposed to announce that the broadcast today is being sponsored by Shmuel Irwin, Leil Nishmas' grandmother. Chana Bashu the Pesach and the Neshama Sharav and Aliyah. She definitely has nachas every day from Shmuel. Like, you know, the joke is Shmuel every day is helping people out in such mitzvahs. So today he decided that he's going to sponsor a broadcast. So I'll do a lesser mitzvah. Every day you're on a much higher level. And today as well. Okay. Zog to Gemara. The commitment with Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak holds Ba'chayiv Koydem Mashkin. Now it doesn't mean you're Koydem Mashkin that it's yours. It means you're Koydem Mashkin to be B'chayiv and Oint. Rabbi Yitzchak holds even if an Oinus, never mind Termer Socher, even if there's an Oinus that happens, you're not only Chayiv on Geneva Vaveda, you're Chayiv even if an Oinus happens. Minayin L'Ba'chayiv Shekoydem Mashkin. How do you know Ba'chayiv is Koydem Mashkin? Shenemar, it says in the pasuk, when you give the maskin back to the loiva at night if he needs it, as Rashi says, as the pasuk says, Hashev Tashav lo yesa avoid k'vay Hashemesh by night, v'shachav v'salmosay, let him sleep in his own pajamas, uveirachecha, he'll bench you, ulachati tzedakah, tzedafid yerkosh eschis, lefnei Hashem alekecha. If you don't own it, you're not giving him a tzedakah, you're giving him his own thing. It made the koydem mashkin tzedakah minoli. Why would it be tzedakah giving it back to him if it's his? Mikan l'bachoiv shekoydem mashkin. And Rashi specifically says, l'chol mili le'ischayev b'ointzim. So you not only chayev him avdoi, you'll even be mechuyev him then.
Yeah, but when Yosy, when he gives it back to the owner, and let's say the owner damages the mashkin, and now he doesn't have the mashkin anymore, is he considered getting a shoyl from the balabayas?
That's a good question. I don't know. I never thought about that. As if he's cutting the mashkin, so now maybe the loiva should be mechuyev.
Right. So he's borrowing his own keli back, right?
I hear. In fact, Gemara but Tizbara. Is that how you want to explain the machlokes Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva? Eimer, the Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. When did Rabbi Yitzchak say that a balchoiv koydem mashkin? That's only when you mean serious business, and the mashkin that you're taking is clearly to collect from. When is that? When did you seize the mashkin? After the loiva has already defaulted. And Rashi says more. The Hakra, the pasuk that says "Ulachati tzedakah" is actually referring specifically to that case. That pasuk is referring to a case where the shliach bezin went and demanded a mashkin of the loiva. It says right before this pasuk, "Bachutz tamoy," the shliach bezin should stay outside. He shouldn't barge into the home of the loiva, and he should wait until the loiva brings the mashkin to the door. There, everybody holds that he took it l'gavayna. He surely took it to collect from. You can't compare that to our Mishnah's case and to the case of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva that say Hilveyu ala mashkin. He originally took a mashkin from the loiva when he gave the loan. Uvahach looked at Rabbi Eliezer hamalva ala mashkin. So that cannot be the discussion between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva. It can't be Rabbi Yitzchak's halacha because Rabbi Yitzchak's halacha is only relevant b'mishkanoi shaloi b'shas alvasa. Aval mishkanoi b'shas alvasa. Mi Omar, who said Rabbi Yitzchak said this chiddush? Ella mishkanoi shaloi b'shas alvasa. We're forced to say that mishkanoi shaloi b'shas alvasa, which is not the discussion of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva. Kulam is Rabbi Yitzchak. Everybody might agree that there'll be a chiyuv ointin for such a thing. Clearly, the case where Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva argue is when he took a mashkin at the time that he gave the loan, and what is the machlokes? Back to square one. It's the machlokes is by standard shomer aveda. So now we're not talking about a mashkin. We just switched gears into a shomer aveda. Shemotza aveda. Someone found an aveda where the Torah says you have to pick it up and take care of it, and try to get it back to the owner. Ditmar shomer aveda. Rabbi Omar kishomer chinam. Rabbi Yosef Omar kishomer sachar. Why? Because it's a mitzvah, right? What is the mitzvah of Hashavas aveda? Zok Gemara, Lemud Rabbi Yosef Tanoi. Let's say that Rabbi Yosef's halacha is Tanoi. This is the proof of Rabbi Yosef. Why is it that a shomer aveda would be considered someone who's doing a mitzvah? Because he's doing a mitzvah, and because of that mitzvah, he's even potter from giving an ani money. If an ani knocks on the door at that time, I'm busy with the aveda. So that means the fact that it's a mitzvah, it makes the shomer into a shomer sachar. So, Frank the Gemara, if that's the case, if you want to say that's the machlokes, and by a milva as well, the shaila is if it's because if it's a mitzvah or not, that's why I'm a shomer sachar. But that means you're actually making Rabbi Yosef's halacha, who's a moira, he's totally in a machlokes tanoim, because Rabbi Akiva will agree with him, and Rabbi Eliezer will disagree with him. Zok Rashi, Lemid Rabbi Yosef Tanoi, the Rabba Vadai Tanoi. For sure, Rabba, who says that a shomer aveda is keshomer chinam, even though there's clearly a mitzvah involved, he's a shomer chinam. By a shomer of a mashkin, a malva for sure is going to be a shomer chinam. So Rabba could no way hold like Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva less like the Rabba, because Rabbi Kiva holds a shomer sachar. So there's no way Rabba can be consistent with Rabbi Kiva. But there's no way for Rabba to explain away the machlokes Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Eliezer any other way. The Hadron, we just spent the whole Amid trying to find different ways to explain the machlokes Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Eliezer, and we had to abound in each and every one of them. So the only way to explain Rabbi Kiva is because he holds there's a mitzvah involved in the milva, and that makes the malva into a shomer sachar. But maybe Rabbi Yosef, who holds that a shomer aveda is keshomer sachar, maybe he would look at a mashkin differently. A little Rabbi Yosef, mimi boy lemeimar tanoi, the Rabbi Eliezer less later Rabbi Yosef. Is it sure that Rabbi Eliezer, who holds that it's only a shomer chinam, disagrees with Rabbi Yosef, who holds by a shomer aveda that it's a shomer sachar? Or maybe we can make a distinction between aveda and a mashkin, and even though Rabbi Yosef holds by aveda, it's a mitzvah, and therefore he's a shomer sachar, maybe by mashkin it's different. So Lema the Rabbi Yosef Tanoi is a Kamerloi. The Shomer Aveda, by Shomer Aveda, the Chula Alma is the Rabbi Yosef. There, everybody holds like Rabbi Yosef. Chloimer Zakrashi, Rabbi who the Dach Uklimil Tanoi. Rabbi cannot be consistent with Rabbi Kiva. Over Rabbi Yosef, Amarlach, Rabbi Lazar Nami Kaikabasi. Even Rabbi Lazar, who holds by a mashkin that the malv is only a Shomer Chinam, he'll agree to me that a Shomer Aveda is a Shomer Sachar. Hey Chadika Mitzvah, going Shomer Aveda. That's where you say it's a shomer sachar. The haka time with the potter, the kasavar ain't kan mitzvah. He holds by a milva, there's no mitzvah. Isla Rabbi Yosef, the haka the milva turning on to pay base on the base. The haka the milva tzarech lamashkin the malva tzarech lemashkin kamiflagi. The machlokes is if the malva needs the mashkin. Why would the malva need the mashkin? Lishtamish boy. Why would the malva need the mashkin? It's a case where the malva wanted to use this mashkin. He needed to have benefit from the mashkin, so maybe he lent money so he could benefit by using the mashkin. He said, "You'll give me this mashkin, and I'll use your mashkin because I need it. Whatever it is, it's a lawnmower. I'm going to use a lawnmower. Of course, I'm going to reduce from the choy, keneged the hana that I have from your mashkin, so it won't be a shail of ribbis. But now there's a specific benefit to me. Therefore, chayiv. Rabbi Kiva is over. Afilu hachi ika mitzvah. Rabbi Kiva holds afilu hachi. There's still going to be a mitzvah involved. So kavaltik. Mars over mitzvah ka'avid. One man of our holds he's doing a mitzvah. Shehalvayu. I'm lending him money, even though I'm getting some benefit, but I am doing a mitzvah. And vibalt, I'm doing a mitzvah. Mars over Rabbi Elazar holds lav mitzvah ka'avid. I'm not doing a mitzvah. I'm only lending you the money because I need something from you. Therefore, there's no mitzvah here at all. So the obvious kasha that we have to ask is, we're discussing whether or not the fact that I needed that mashkin neutralizes the fact that I'm doing a mitzvah, and it's only the fact that I'm doing a mitzvah that can make it into a shem masach. What about the fact that I'm borrowing your mashkin? I'm a seicher. I'm literally paying you to rent your object. I'm a seicher. So that was bothering me the whole morning, and I found a teretz, and I'm not sure if I could remember it now. So I'm going to try to remember it, and because the Rishonim discuss it. I looked it up in the Rishonim. It was a pasha to teretz why he's not considered a seicher over here. But I don't remember. Maybe it'll come to me, and maybe it'll come to me. If not, I'll have to share it with you tomorrow. Okay, Valti. Abba Sholoimer. So that takes care of our sugya. At the end of the day, the machlokes between Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Kiva is if in a case where there is some need by the malva to take that mashkin, does that negate the fact that now he's doing a mitzvah by lending the money? Rabbi Kiva holds it's still a mitzvah, therefore he remains a shomer sachar, and Rabbi Elazar holds no, it neutralizes the mitzvah, and therefore he's not receiving anything, and he's a shomer. Abba Sholoimer. Mutter la'adam lahasker mishkoinoi shal ani liyos peiches v'hayim. That was the last line in our mission. That it's mutter to take the mashkin of an ani that you have because he owes you money and rent it out to a third party to use and benefit from. And that rent that you receive from someone renting the mashkin will be used to reduce the amount of the chayv. Amar Rav Chanan bar Ami Amar Shmuel. Halacha Abba Shol. We pass like Abba Shol. The af Abba Sholoi Omar elabamora, a hoe, which is used to dig holes in the ground. Upasal, which is let's see if someone can help me out with it. It's a dulaira balaz. Who? Oh, it's a type of axe. It's a type of axe. The cardo and an axe. So these are all different type of axe that are used to do different works. I think I have over here a pirish on the laws of Rashi's. Okay, Gavaldik. They're all mentioned in Maseches Kelim. We have pictures of everything in the article of Maseches Kelim. So what are unique about these Kelim? They command a decent rental rate, so there'll be money coming in, but there's very little wear and tear on them. If there's a lot of wear and tear on something that you rent out, that you wouldn't be able to rent out because you're diminishing the value of the loivas keli. But if it's an axe or things like these items where there's very little deterioration to the keli, but there's a significant benefit, that's where we allow that because that's going to help the loiva.
You have to sharpen them after finish using them. You don't have to.
I don't think so. It doesn't. The Gemara doesn't say it, but I don't know the nuances of the rule.
The only thing that really
No, actually, because when you shop with an axe, some metal does go down. But I guess it's used on things that are much softer than the metal that you're grinding with it, so therefore it doesn't diminish. Think about it. So I still have to remember why isn't it Asher Mesachar Mineo Bay, because I'm basically renting your keli. I'm eating my heart out. Why I don't remember that. Hamaver Kovis, does the article bring it down? The article might speak about it. What?
You eat it out because you still need it.
Does the article? The article must quote. The article must be more into Shiloh.
It says that the entire transaction is similar to a rental. That's what your problem is.
Right, but the Rishonim explain why it's not, why that Mineu Bay doesn't make him into a Shem Soccer, why it doesn't make him into a Soich.
Renter is ordinarily a paid share. In this case, however, where the lender is not an actual renter, he's only an unpaid share.
So it's not called a Soicher because he's not really renting it. That's the pshat that I heard was
Better.
was more geschmack, was more acceptable. Because I lent you the money because I needed to borrow your lawnmower. So by lending you the money, I got use of your lawnmower. Okay, Zok to Gemara. Hamavir chavis mimakim lamakim. What happens if I hire you as a schlepper to move my barrels around? Vishavra, and you broke it. You broke my barrel. While you were moving it, you broke my barrel. In other words, we call that a shlemaz. Right? Bain, actually, it's not a shlemaz. We know the shlemiel is the guy who spills the soup on you. The shlemazel is the guy who had the soup spilled on him. The nudnik is the guy who asks what type of soup was it, right? So hamavir chavis mimakim lamakim vishavra, and it broke. Ve'incher mechinam.
It's not the nudnik, Yosy. He's the insurance adjuster. Is going to ask what kind of soup.
I didn't say what type of soup. I said what type of soup.
Both. What kind of soup was it? What kind of soup? That's the insurance adjuster.
I hear. So hamavir chavis mimakim lamakim vishavra. Ve'incher mechinam. Ve'incher misachar vishavra. What do you swear about? Zokt Rashi Shaloi Pasha. You only have to swear that you weren't Pasheya, the Yifter, and you'll be Potter. The Gemara Mefarish, the Gemara is going to explain. Taima Amai Potter, Shem Yisachar B'Shvua. If a Shem Yisachar swears that he wasn't Pasheya, that shouldn't be good enough. Because he's Chai for Geniv Aveda. Abalav Pshia Nabi Chai. Shein Zahoinus, you cannot say that spilling a barrel, tipping a barrel and breaking it, is considered an Einus, which a Shem Yisachar is Potter for. It's Ella Kegneva Vaveda. It's a mamish pshia, but it's still somewhat of a negligence on behalf of this person. Shein kroivin la'onis upshia. It's sort of in the middle between onis and pshia, but that's something that a Shem Yisachar should be chayav for. So we're going to need to know why a Shem Yisachar can get away with merely swearing that he wasn't Pasheya. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Zeh v'Zeh Yishava. They both swear. In other words, he's agreeing to the Tanakama, which I think is from there. I agree with you. That's halacha. That's what I heard too. To me, but I can't understand how that makes any sense. And we're going to see because I don't understand how could the Shem Yisachar swear and be potter. I agree that's what my Rebbe is paskin, but I don't understand. Tanu Rabban, Hamaver Chavis l'Chavei Rabbi Makim l'Makim b'Shavar and the broke. Bein Shem Mechina Bein Shem Yisachar Yishava Diver Rab Meir Rabbi Yehuda Aimer. Rabbi Yehuda is not in our Mishnah. The Bryce is introducing Rabbi Yehuda Shita. He also Mechinim Yishava, Noisi Sacher Yishalim. And Rabbi Eliezer said, listen, Rabbi Yehuda, I heard from my Rebbes, like Rabbi Meir said. Rabbi Eliezer Mizev Zev Yishava, Utemiani Imichayim Zev Zev Yishava. So Zok to Gemara, remember the Savar of Meir, Niskalaf Pasheya? Rabbi Meir clearly holds that someone who slips and drops a barrel, he's not a Pasheya, right? That's why he holds even the Shem Mechinam does not have to be liable. He's not paying. The problem is, Tanya, we learned in Bava Kama, Nishbra Kadai. If it was Nishbra Kadai, it's exactly the same thing as here. You were in Niskal. You dropped it, you tripped, you fumbled. Beloy Silky didn't take it away. Nafla Gmaloi below Yamida. Right? Remember, we had the case of Nafla Gmaloi Yamida. The Gemara said it's speaking where it fell on him. He slipped and he pulled the camel on him. And that's when he said, Ashira Lashem, Ki Gamal. Right? Rav Meir Mechayiv. Rav Meir is Mechayiv b'Zeikon. Why is Rav Meir Mechayiv b'Zeikon? Because he held that you're Nishkal Pasheya. And the Gemara, after analyzing the Machlokes over there, comes to the conclusion that Nishkal Pasheya pligi. The Machlokes is Nishkal Pasheya. So if Rav Meir is Nishkal Pasheya, how in our Mishnah can he possibly allow the Shemichinim to walk without paying. Amar Rabbi Elazar, you're right. Tavra, Misha Shanazu, Lo Shanazu. Our Mishnah and the Mishnah of Bava Kama disagree with each other. They disagree about what Reb Meir held. The Mishnah of Bava Kama holds that Reb Meir holds Niskal Pesheya, and the Mishnah in Bava Metzia holds that Reb Meir says Niskal La Pesheya. The author of Yehuda Lemeimar Shemechinam Yishava Noisi Sacher Yishalim, and Rabbi Yehuda comes up the middle and he says Hi Kidinei the Shomer Chinam is potter on Gneva Vaveda. He's only chai for Pshia, therefore he's potter. But Hi Kidinei the Shomer Sacher is chai for such a type of mistake. The author of Rabbi Elazar says in Gemara Reb Meir, I also heard from my Rebbe's like Reb Meir that even a Shomer Sacher is potter. I just can't understand it. In Yechoil and Zev Elishava. Zok Gemara. Bishlama Shemechinam Mishtaba. I understand the Shemechim could swear. What will he swear? The loy pashaba, and then he could be butter. Elishay Mesacher Amai Mishtaba. I don't understand. If he's going to swear that he wasn't Pasheya, how does that exonerate him? Kilei Pasha Nami Shluma boy. Even if he wasn't Pasheya, Shemechim is chayav to pay. But Afilu Shemechinam Nami. And even a Shemechinam, how can you say that he's potter? It's Niskal La Pasheya. I can only possibly accept that Niskal La Pasheya is if it's in a steep area where it's much more difficult to keep stable. There, if it slipped, maybe it's not a Pasheya. But Shalai B'Mekah on a regular flat surface, how can you justify saying that it's not a Pasheya? Me Motzi Mishtavet Le Pasha. How could you swear you were Pasheya? You were Pasheya. It's flat land. There's no reason why it should have slipped, and you dropped it. You're a bottle. So that's Pasheya. So how could you say that? So now we're not only asking a kasha l'shem mesacher, we even ask a kasha l'shem mechinam. And you can't say that the Mishnah is only speaking b'makam medrin because the Mishnah should have been more clear. Reb Meir said across the board, you're pot, right? Reb Meir should have said if he's only chayiv, if he's only pot the b'makam medrin. Reb Meir should have said if it's b'makam medrin, the shem mechinam is pot. It's mashma from Reb Meir that's pot no matter what.
Sometimes you have these cases where they throw in the answer. Was it a case of medrin or was it a case of something else?
But that's not kishmak. And even if it's b'makam medrin, it's not so simple to say it should not be a pshia. Where is somebody moving barrels around? It's an open area. It's not out in the fields. So there's spectators everywhere. So heicha de lekaraya, heicha de ikaraya. But if there's people around, it's in a warehouse, someone's watching, and they see right even if they're, why should you swear? Why should we trust the shua? Tell them to find a witness. The Tanya Isa ben Yehuda Aimer. If no one sees, then Shavuos Hashem Tia Ben Shteim. Hayesh Raya, Yavi Raya v'Yiftar. Right. In other words, so you could say maybe Reb Meir is speaking where there's no Edom around. But Rashi explains that it's not Mastava to say that because when you're moving barrels around, there's always people around. So why should we trust the Shavuot? There's always people around. Bring spectators that were there and prove it. You only could swear if you don't have an alternative to bring Edom. If you have an alternative to bring Edom, we don't trust your shvuah.
Because it says Ein Roya in the sheet.
So these are all of the difficulties that Rabbi Eliezer has with the sheet of Reb Meir. Rabbi Bar Abba says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, he's not continuing with this. He's going back to the original kasha. The original kasha was, didn't we learn a minute ago that Reb Meir, in our Mishnah, Reb Meir seems to say Niskal Pasheya. In Bava Kama, he said Niskal Pasheya. So the first there was Tavar Misha Shanazu Shanazu is a machloikis about what Reb Meir said. Rabbi Bar Abba says no, it's not a machloikis. The two Mishnayos are consistent, and really he holds Niskal Pasheya. And really here he should be chayiv. You know why here he's potter with a shvuah? Shvuah zu takanas chachamim. It's at takanas chachamim that we're letting this porter get away with a shvuah, even though he's a pasheya and he should be chayiv. You know what? Shemiyat ha'omer kain. If we're not going to give this guy a break, ein lach adam hamaver chavis lachaverei imakim lamakim. You'll never be able to hire anybody to move your chavius around because he's setting himself up for a disaster. So therefore, it's a special takana. Really, needs called pasheya. It is a special takana by moving barrels, where if you swear that you were not pasheya, you were not negligent, then we will pata you. Zokt Rashi. Yeah. Shvuzu the Konas Chacham li Patebo le Kamim Mefarish Mishtaba a Pasha. She'im iyat appointment at Shulim Kishaniskal Ein Lachadam. No one's going to take such a job. Shedoyik Shaloi Yikashel V'Sishaver. And therefore, who's going to want such a responsibility? Nobody's going to want such a responsibility. So, Frekdim or Hechi Mishtaba. If now that we're establishing that he's a Niskal Pasheya, so what's he going to swear? That I wasn't Pasheya? By definition, we hold these Pasheya. Amarava Shvua Shaloi B'Kavana Shivarti. All he has to swear is, I didn't do this on purpose. It happened by mistake. And then Rabbi Yehuda says differently. Shemechinam Yishava Noishasacha Yishalem Hai Chidinei V'Hai Chidinei V'Yasser Rabbi Lazar L'Meimar in Gemara Reb Meir. I heard from my Rebbe like Reb Meir that Shai Asher Mechinam Shai Asher Mesacher will be Potter. I just cannot figure it out. Im Yechoylin Zev Ezel Yishav. How can they both swear? Dr. Marbish Shai Mechinam Mishtav Shlai Pashaba. Shai Mechinam could swear Shlai Pashaba. And Shai Mesacher Amai Mishtava. Why does he swear Kilai Pasha Nami Boy Shlume? He has to pay anyway. Well, this is a different price. This is a Pchi Barabas price. Afilu Shai Mechinam Nami Hateinich B'Makamedrin. But Shalai B'Makamedrin Mimot Mishtaba Shlai Pasha. Sure, it's a Pshia. Afilu B'Makamedrin Nami. These are our Beliezer's cashes on Reb Meir. Afilu B'Makamedrin Nami Hateinich Hechad Olekaraya. Hechad Ikaraya Neitzerai V'Yifter. The Tani Yisik Yuda Aimer. Ein Roy Yeshua Hashem Tiv Einstein. So that's it, and that is the machlokes between three machlokes between Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Eliezer. So really, we could make a run for the pair, but for Zoyvite, we could stop here. We're Baruch Hashem ahead of the game, and we will Be'ez Hashem be mamshech and be finished the pair of Hashem tomorrow. We'll start the circus of Payal. Neshech Eichel, yeah.